Eleanor opened her eyes with a start. Gradually, her surroundings took on a familiar shape, and with a sense of despair, she recognized the large chamber in the south wing of Salisbury, her prison for the past 13 months. There was a rustling sound, and she turned her head to see her attendant, Amaria, shaking out clothes for the dawn mass. Wisps of barley-coloured hair had escaped from her wimple, and her plump face was red from exertions. "The bells will ring for prime any moment, madam." Eleanor's gaze lingered affectionately on the young woman from Bordeaux, who had served her for several years in Poitiers. Never complaining, she was now proving a bulwark in this time of travail and misery. "If we survive this ordeal, I will find 100 ways to show my gratitude to you," Eleanor said for the 100th time as she sat up with a yawn. Amaria smiled. "Of course we will survive, madam. It cannot be long now. One day soon the gates of this prison will be unlocked and—" She looked expectantly at Eleanor. "And Richard will ride through on a magnificent black destrier with the young King Harry and Count Geoffrey just behind, and they will carry me to the coast, where we will take ship for the continent, and thence back to Poitiers." They told each other this tale so often they had it by heart, although the details often varied. Sometimes Bertrand de Born was also present. At other times powerful Poitevin lords made an appearance. Even Marie of Champagne played a role in their rescue. But it was always Richard who rode first through the gates of Salisbury. The expectation of rescue kept her spirits alive, and Eleanor was determined to stay alive, if for no other reason than to get back at Henry. Only the prospect of vengeance and the unvarying practice of establishing daily rituals enabled her to get through one more dreary day. With a sigh, she rose and, clad only in a threadbare linen chemise, walked over to the silver basin, resolutely determined to ignore her surroundings, although this was far from easy. The curtains and canopy of the wide bed, once crimson, had faded to an ugly reddish pink. The fur-lined, moth-eaten coverlet was of a brownish hue, the same colour as a dog's mess, and the worn hangings covering one wall were in dire need of refurbishing. There was a trundle bed for Amaria, 2 scarred oak chests, several lumpy cushioned stools, and an oak table that had one leg shorter than the rest. Dented charcoal braziers kept the chamber warm. Eleanor was thankful for that at least, and pewter candle holders, with a large bundle of wax tapers at hand, kept it light. Tarnished silver basins and cracked pewter pitchers completed the other necessities. "Mustn't grumble, madam," Amaria said whenever Eleanor complained, pointing out that the window slits had been enlarged to allow air and sunshine into the chamber, which was clean and reasonably comfortable, regardless of its hideous furnishings. Grudgingly, Eleanor had to admit that efforts had been made to provide her basic needs. Even parchment, quills, and an inkwell had been supplied at her request. "Food is plentiful, madam, if not always to your taste," Amaria frequently reminded her. "Is it to anyone's taste? Anyone civilized, that is. The cuisine in this country has always been atrocious," she had replied, despite my attempts to introduce southern recipes. And, like almost everything else she had attempted to improve in England, this too had failed. Henry's foreign queen meddling with the good old customs that had served the land since time out of mind. She remembered a scene from, it must be well over 10 years ago, when she and Henry had been staying at Winchester.